Welcome to the Mindful Healers podcast with Dr. Jessie Mahoney
and Dr. Ni-Cheng Liang.
We are physicians and leaders who are also trained in coaching, yoga, mindfulness, and integrative medicine.
We are also mothers, spouses, sisters, daughters, aunts, and friends.
In this podcast, we share candid, heart-centered, loving, science-based, thoughtful, and often fun conversations about the challenges life throws at us.
With our collective experience of over 30 years in physician and personal wellness, we reflect and offer pearls of wisdom for navigating life's challenges with more ease.
From parenting, marriages, money scarcity, cancer survivorship, uncertainty, challenges in practicing medicine, we cover it all.
We invite you to refresh your perspective and empower yourself with mindset, mindfulness, and other well-being tools that actually work. A quick reminder that nothing in our podcast is medical advice.
Today's episode is our annual episode about the value and process of choosing intention words. And this year, we're going to do it a little bit differently. I am going to record my conversation by myself, and then Ni-Cheng is going to record her ideas by herself, and we're going to blend them together at the end. And this is because we are adapting to life as it is. And in this moment in time, we both have very different schedules and availability, and we want to share our ideas about the importance of words and this tremendously valuable process in December, while you still have time to implement it for yourselves if you so choose. So the intention of today's episode is to share this process of choosing words, the way that we choose to do it, and the way that we have found it valuable. It has been a process that I have been doing over the last 5+ years, and it has dramatically changed my life. The takeaways from today's episodes are going to be some of the nuts and bolts of how to do it from our perspective, and also the message that it is best done with a coach, consultant, somebody to guide you and help you refine what is aligned for you. This process of choosing intentioned words is such a powerful tool that it can also go awry. And we have both found that sometimes when we have chosen words that seemed like they might have been in alignment, but maybe weren't or weren't quite on, that we got ourselves into, it may be in over our heads or the world's conspired, who knows. But I think it's very important that you work with someone on it. And it is something that I work with almost all my clients on one-on-one or in small groups. And I actually, to avoid the missteps on choosing words, look at my words from a danger perspective once I picked them, making sure that there are things that I am not missing or not thinking about. And you might say, as I often bring up in this podcast, that that's catastrophizing. But I do feel like it's actually potentially being prepared and setting myself up for success. So, as we begin, setting intentions is science-based. Simply setting an intention gives our brain something to filter our life experience through, and it tells it what to pay attention to. What you pay attention to is your life, as I often say. Setting intention words is like setting your GPS. And without the GPS, you end up who knows where. But you also, without a focus, your brain automatically goes to the negative. And this is all brains. It's part of the human condition. And so giving our brain something to focus on that's not negative, could just be neutral, could be something we aspire to or we wish. As I often say, intentions don't have to be super serious, that we are keeping our brain out of the negativity spiral that it naturally goes to. When we set an intention, we also release dopamine and acetylcholine. And so literally the process of setting an intention makes you feel better and increases your motivation, no matter what words you choose. So even before you've chosen your intention, presuming, of course, that your intention is not negative, you are already better off than by not spending time on this process. So this is also not the first episode we've done on this topic. And I looked back and we've actually done 3 previous episodes on this topic. And I think they're worth a listen before or after this one, probably after, since you're already listening. And I would also note that our process is getting more and more refined and more specific as we have been working on this project for over 5 years. So the first episode on this topic was it's episode 110, which was a re-release of a previous episode, Why Intentions Are Better Than Goals. And I still feel extremely strongly that an intention is not a goal. An intention is the direction that you are setting your attention so that you have a GPS. It's not an I will accomplish something, which for most of us in medicine is a problem approach. Episode 111 is a re-release of Setting Intentions is a Powerful Practice. Episode 169 is Setting Yourself Up for Success with Words. And I encourage you to take a listen to all those as you are noodling through this process over the next few weeks. So I'm going to share my general process of choosing words and what I have found to be most effective for working with my clients. Obviously, not everything that I do in a one-on-one session when we're working on this, but a little bit about my framework. And then I'm going to share my words. And so you can see where I'm headed and how this process works in real time. So what I have found to be most effective for myself and for others is to not choose a single word, because to me, a single word doesn't appreciate the depth and breadth of the human existence and an entire year. And so I like to choose 3 words and a stretch word. So 3 words are the words that I want to really make progress on. I am committed to changing my relationship with those 3 words and having a deep impact in my life around those words. The stretch word is the one that I wish, I aspire, I want to dabble with. I want to be able to engage with it in a kind way and not worry too much how far I get. And so for me, having this process allows me to pick a word that really does stretch me and helps me grow without feeling like I need to take it on too heavily. And this is an example of not using coaching against yourself, picking something that really feels aspirational and maybe is too hard or too far. Actually, we never get there. And so deciding that you're not going to go very far with this word, but you're going to get to know it, welcome it, embrace it, learn about it, experience it, and see how you feel at the end of the year. Interestingly, none of my stretch words have actually become a word in the following year, though they may be something that is encompassed in some of the other words. And so this practice has been my sort of mindful year-end practice since 2020, and it has very much changed my life. I spend actually way more than a few days or a few weeks working on my words for the year. This year, I actually started at the end of September on a plane flight home from a conference. I had a thought about what my word was going to be, and I've been noodling around them since, thinking about it and trying to decide what feels right for me this year. And I like to engage with the words that I am choosing in what I call a 360-degree way. So there's something called 360 evaluations in many hospitals and medical centers and workplaces, where you evaluate everyone and they evaluate you. And you're looking at things from all different perspectives. And so that is what I mean by choosing words and playing with them from a 360 perspective. So do you want to create this? Do you want to experience this? How do you want to engage with it? Do you want to be this? Do you want to grow this? And you can take the word as different parts of speech as well and play with it in that way. And so I think that sometimes in the brainstorming about the words that you're thinking about, you might actually find the word you really want. So my 2024 words, if you listened to last year's podcast, you know they were freedom, strong, peace, and fun was my stretch word. And fun, while it might seem like a stretch word, for many women high achievers, fun is hard to come by, and we rarely let loose enough to have true fun. And I actually spent a fair bit of time doing research on fun. And there will be an upcoming podcast on the power of fun, sharing some pearls of wisdom from a great book on this topic. And I definitely dabbled in the fun, and I'm still working on growing fun and engaging in fun. And fun is going to be integral to my words next year, though not a specific word in and of itself. And that's an example of something that is a stretch word. My other words, freedom, I wanted to be free from so many things, from thought patterns that we talk about here, from old habits, from heaviness, from things that weigh me down. I wanted to feel strong physically and emotionally. And strong is one of these words that I did really have to noodle around, because you could use it against you to be overstrong and to hold and to grip and to prove how strong you are. And there is a risk in choosing a word like strong, because you may end up having to be strong, which I did this year, but I was willing to do it. Peace was my other word. And peace I chose because I have really been working on trust and growth and believing. And so peace felt like the next level of that. And I would say, of course, more peace. And what I do know is I do a fair bit of work in human design. And for my human design, peace is the highest bar. And it's a word that I thought about choosing for many years and wasn't ready. And so I wanted to see how I could come to peace, more peace this year. And all of you know so much about my year. It took a lot of strength to uproot myself from where I had lived for 20 years in one house and 31 years in a city. And it took a lot of physical strength to move. There was a lot of freedom, becoming an empty nester, leaving the city, moving to the country. I'm free of cement, and I am free, largely, perhaps detached might be the word that I think of when I reflect on where I am now, of many of these thought patterns that weigh me down and keep me stuck. The freedom from those has come from awareness and noticing, which I teach so many of you who I work with. But I still have a ways to go with freedom, for sure. Peace, I am more at peace with my choices and my decisions, no matter how they turn out. And that I'm more at peace with having something and being someone beyond what I had imagined for myself. And as I mentioned, I dabbled with fun. And some of this, I will say, in new ways, spending time in swimming in the evenings, hot tubbing, nighttime hiking in the country where I live now, exploring nature and the creek and the stars, and attending to laughing more and attending to letting go and practicing fun. Now, this year in particular, I do not feel like my words are complete. Perhaps they were all a bit of a stretch word, but they definitely put my attention in a specific direction, and I grew. So as I was thinking about my 2025 words, I think they're all an evolution of these words. And so this is something that you might do if you have been following along and practicing choosing intention words yourself. Thinking about them as an evolution or the next phase or the next step can be helpful. And I like to think of the words as an approach or an attitude, the way you're going to choose to move through your life, the energy that you're going to bring. So trying to bring my new words into practice is actually going to take many of the things I learned from my old words. It's going to take strength, and it's going to take being free of new patterns for sure. These new words will also for sure bring me more peace if I attend to them. And fun is encompassed in all of them, and it will come through them and become more available to me from them. So that's a bit about how the process works with words. And I like to spend the fall looking at the words and saying, where do I still have work to do? Where do I want to put my attention over the next few months? and digging in that way. At the same time, I'm noodling around my words for the next year. And so I will share with you the words that I have come up with. And my choices feel quite complete at this point, even though we're only at the beginning of December. And my process of choosing them is really sitting down with the words and brainstorming what they mean to me. And one of the reasons that Ni Cheng and I also decided to record this separately is our words have a completely different flavor, a different tone, and a different energy for the year. And we found that just really interesting. And so you'll notice as you listen to mine, and then when she pops on in a bit and shares hers, two big differences in the way that we hope to experience 2025. And that is one of the bits of power around choosing words, is you're choosing how you want to experience the world. And as you're choosing 3 words, you can think of it in a more global way. So my first word is belonging. And part of me thinks this should be a stretch word, but I am up to the task of deciding and practicing belonging anywhere, at any table, at every table, in a group, on a stage, in the limelight, on a bookshelf, on a TED Talk stage. I've spent much of my life thinking I didn't belong. And I know that many of you share that feeling. And in medicine, we're taught to look around and figure out how we don't belong. We're taught to compare and despair. Notice what about us is different. How do we not fit in? And try to figure out how to be a chameleon and fit in, because that is how you are able to progress through the medical training system. So I am committing with this intention word to stop looking for differences and why I don't fit in or belong, and why something might not be for me. In fact, I very often look at things and think, how am I different? And I try to do it in a positive way, but I'm not sure if that thought is one of those thoughts that's even necessary. Around the worthy, deserving, enough thought. Maybe it's just better to just focus on who you are and what you do and what you like, and let other people do the same. And that would absolutely enhance belonging. I also plan to remember that discomfort does not mean I don't belong. It simply means it's an unfamiliar environment. Perhaps I'm a bit more of an introvert than I thought, especially in big groups, or maybe it's something new. I also plan to literally practice believing that I am as beautiful and accomplished and normal as anyone else. Because when you think you belong, you do. Those of you who have worked with me on the thought model, the thoughts can change your experience. And when you think you belong, you have more fun, which, as I mentioned, I'm still planning to work on this year. So I'm making a commitment to stop comparing and despairing. And when I do, be kind to myself and laugh at myself. I am making a commitment to bring grace and forgiveness to myself for whatever has happened in the past, whatever does happen, because I do think that grace and forgiveness are an essential ingredient for belonging. And I am going to also accept my appearance, my age, my body, where I am in life. And again, all of this is a practice, but having this clarity around what it would take to feel like I belong and grow a sense of belonging is very helpful. I also want to believe that I belong in the country where I've moved, which is still a new place for me, very different than where I lived for the last 30 years, and belonging on mountaintops and in kayaks and doing all the things that maybe I haven't done yet, belonging in new groups that I might try to join, and participating in things. The other thing about belonging that for me is part of my intention and aspiration is connection, and to actively connect. Because I think when we feel like we belong, we reach out and we actively connect. When we feel like we don't belong, we might withdraw and isolate. And a sense of belonging comes with trust and safety with connection. And so my hope in spending time and attention and focusing my energy on a sense of belonging is that I will actively connect more, hopefully with more of you, not just at retreats, but who knows where and who knows how. And enjoying the new connections that I make as I'm trying to grow this sense of belonging. So my second word is beyond. And beyond is what I see as a next step from freedom/letting go. And beyond is leaving these old thought patterns behind, perhaps in the dust. So I am aspiring to move beyond worrying, scarcity and money worries and anxiety and moving belong thoughts that pop up that, in quotes, something won't work or I won't succeed. Recognizing that those are, again, those old thought patterns. And I have a lot more freedom from them and separation from them, but could I literally move beyond them, leave them in the dust? I hope to move beyond caring and worrying about what others think and to trust myself and believe in myself. And I know many of you listening probably think that I do that already, but in those deepest cells, do I do that? And how beautiful and amazing and lovely and calm and grounded would it feel to grow this part of myself? I also would like to move beyond the culture of collective suffering and struggle and drama. And in medicine, this is trained into us deep, deep, deep. And so we dig into the suffering of ourselves and the world and the systems and the brokenness. And I have done so much work on this, but moving well beyond it, that's this idea of beyond. So having freedom from it and then moving beyond it. So I also would like to move beyond stories about the past that have held me back, go beyond what my previous vision for myself was, and challenges that I've had, challenges in relationships, old patterns. Could I move beyond those? I'm really inspired by this word beyond, although it feels a little bit fluffy and ill-defined. I also want to help others go beyond what they thought possible for them. And that is primarily what I do in my work. And I really would like to help others do the same. This journey has been so amazing. And those that I work with who change their lives, their journey becomes so amazing. So I would love to help any and all of you listeners go beyond what you think possible for you. And you can do that without choosing the word, though this word process and the evolution over the last 5 years shows you the value of the practice. My third word, as Nichieng said, is very unlike me, and I'm quite excited about it. And it is sparkle. And it's even more brave and stepping out than shine, which is something I've thought about. But I'm really excited by this idea of sparkling. And it came up for me when I saw a woman at a gala wearing a sparkle wrap dress. And I've never been inspired by a form-fitting sparkle dress, but a sparkle wrap dress. This dress was cool. And I was like, next year, when I come to this gala, which I go to most years, it is the Brave Enough Conference Gala, and it's a conference that I speak at and coach at, and have met. That's where I met Nichieng years and years ago, and I have met many of you who have come to work with me at that conference as well. And in the past, the gala has not been my favorite thing, in large part because I'm not a big dresser-upper in sparkly dresses, but I decided that this would actually be really fun to lean into this year. So wearing more sparkle, wearing more sparkly makeup. I got all the ads for that, and some fun other sparkle things, and allowing myself to be seen and to sparkle while doing so. So standing tall and proud, having fun, laughing, dancing more. This is the fun part of it. And that's why sparkle, not shine, because it's more fun. To feel alive and light. When you're sparkling, you feel alive and you're light. And it gets at my love of nature, sunshine, sparkly snow. I am going to be speaking in a conference for anesthesiologists in February in Aspen, a place I've never been. And there's, I presume, lots of sparkly snow there. I usually go to Tahoe, though in my younger days, I spent a winter skiing in Colorado. So I'm quite excited to go to this conference. The other thing is really visually creating sparkly things in my life. So the first off is having more sparkly lights in the winter. I've gotten really into solar outdoor lights living in the country where there is no ambient outdoor light to provide a little bit of light and happiness. So I recognize very fully that this sparkle word is going to take a bit of bravery for me, stepping outside my comfort zone, and also a sense of belonging. And it will certainly bring me beyond my old vision of myself. And I intend to do it in a way that's aligned for me. I don't really know what that's going to look like yet, but I'm leaning into it and I'm going to have fun with it and we'll see. And I didn't even make it a stretch word. So my stretch word is ease. And ease is a stretch for me. I work hard at things. And so can I approach all that I do with ease? And can I create ease? I have been working for the last year on different systems around taxes and money and business structure and all kinds of things that I was never trained to do in medicine and are required of a small business owner. And so creating ease and creating systems. And I finally found people to work with that feel aligned and secure and safe and comfortable. Easeful decision making. Not stressing over making a mistake, making the best decision I can, something I teach so often, and yet I still find myself falling into that trap. I even see it as I'm shopping for holiday gifts. Well, what if this isn't the right one? Or what if I find something better later? And I waste a lot of time and energy, and that is not easeful. Ease invites letting go of struggle. It once again invites this grace and forgiveness and openness and flexibility. And when you are moving through the world with ease, and ease has some flow in it, it's more fun. And I do think for me, ease may be stretch word. It may, as I mentioned, it be the easiest word of all. If I accomplish all the others, and what I mean by accomplish is change my relationship with them, then I imagine that ease will just happen. And very often I think of the stretch word as the thing that happens when you evolve your relationship with the other words. And again, this is my own system and something that I've come up with and something that I have shared with Ni Chang. She used to just pick one word until I cannot remember the word she had in 2020, but boy, did it come to fruition with the pandemic. And so since then, she's adopted my model of choosing 3 words. So you can pick one depending on what transpires in the world in the year you're choosing. So I hope that that was a fun thing to hear. And I hope I have inspired you to sit down and noodle around your own aspirations, wishes, and intentions for 2025. I am expecting a lovely year ahead, embracing those words and playing with them. They're all very different. And I love this idea of now I have changed some of the circumstances where I live in particular, and to now change myself alongside it. So if any of you are interested in working on words with me, I encourage you to sign up for coaching. Makes a huge difference. And it is something where your words and your intention and your entire year ahead will look very, very different if you engage. And with that, I'm going to pass off this conversation to my lovely co-host, Ni Chang.
Thanks for joining me for the second half of this special new formatted podcast episode that we are trying out simply because there is a lot more life happening and it's a little bit more challenging for Jessie and I to find ourselves at the same place at the same time, being able to record. So we thought it would be fun actually to try this format for the purposes of this topic, which is setting our intentions for the next year
And so I wanted to recap my words from last year, which were boundaries, trust, and love. And love was a repeat because I wasn't quite ready to let go of love as an intention. But I think I am this year, as it's now ingrained into the fabric of my being in terms of self love. Kind of always constantly going to be something that I'm working on. So for this year coming up, my words are rest, space, and presence. Very different words, actually, than what Jessie has just shared with you. I think it offers a different tempo of being. This past year, I've noticed with my kids getting older and my medical practice that it's gotten really busy. And I had shared previously with all of you that I had taken a more of a step back from a lot of my entrepreneurship with regards to teaching online classes. And I've noticed that in the interim, life has just basically taken up that space. So this year, I'm going to be very much so setting the intention for some white space where I don't have anything scheduled, where I will schedule actually that white space to really focus on doing more of what I love doing. And sometimes it will be decided in the moment. Sometimes it might just be reading in bed or going outside for a mindful nature walk or binging Netflix on the newest K drama that I happen to be enthralled in. But really, this coming year, very much so intentionally setting up white space for myself. And along with that includes rest. So I am someone who has migraines, and now they're much more sporadic now that I'm in my postmenopausal years after having had surgical menopause. The migraines are sporadic, but I also can anticipate when I will be getting one because if I don't get enough sleep, that's definitely a migraine trigger. And I don't really drink alcohol anymore because that's also another migraine trigger. And of course, stress. But I think as I'm getting older, the lack of enough sleep is definitely a trigger. And so to help continue to improve my quality of life and decreasing my frequency of migraines, and also to help continue to reduce my breast cancer recurrence risk, I really, really need to prioritize rest. Rest in the form of mostly sleep, but as it relates to white space as well. More being, less doing. Even though I know this upcoming next year with my kids getting older, there will be plenty of activities to partake in and plan. But really setting that intention up for myself for protecting time for rest and space, whatever that looks like in that particular moment. And then the last word I have is presence. So, in the midst of having family needs really being in the sandwich generation of my parents getting older and my kids getting older, both sets of people having very different needs. These are the years that will never be repeated. And reminding you that in life, each moment is really unique and different from the moment before and all of the moments that you have already lived. And if we worry about the future or are somehow stuck with thinking too much about the past, then we miss the present moment and we miss aspects of our lives. I potentially am at risk for missing precious moments of being with my loved ones, with the different slices of bread of my own personal sandwich in my sandwich generation of getting older. And so, really prioritizing the being aspect with those that I care for. So, I don't know if any of these words resonate with you. Perhaps they can inspire you to think about what's needed for this upcoming next year rather than setting resolutions, but instead setting intentions for what might serve you the best. And also, there are no rules with regards to setting these words. These words can change throughout the year, they can be replaced. You can add words as well. So have fun with it. Have fun with language, have fun with your intentions, and really get curious into what might set yourself up for ease or success, health, joy, whatever it is. And maybe one of those words that I just mentioned could be your intention words for the year as well. As I close, I'm going to invite you to reflect on some questions with me. So, if it would be helpful to do so, you can close your eyes or lower your gaze a few inches in front of you, or maybe even journal about these questions. And perhaps this might help you pick your words for the upcoming year. What do you need right now? And do you see that need as something that is going to permeate into the next year? And if so, maybe some aspect of that word or need can become an intention word for you for the upcoming year. What were your words last year? And maybe you didn't have any words last year, but thinking about potentially themes in the last year, of things that you potentially tried differently, either intentionally or unintentionally. And giving yourself credit for a job well done for living this past year in whatever shape or form that might look like without judgment. As we come across the end of this year, there's an opportunity to begin anew, to reset, to reflect, and to think about what might be different about the upcoming year that might be helpful for you, and how you could potentially make that change. And conversely, what's worked well for you these last 12 months of experience, of life experience that you have worked so hard to earn? What's worked well for you? And that can inform your words as well. Maybe you want more of that. And then lastly, inviting you to think about maybe a stretch word, something that you're maybe not quite ready to embody or set as the intention, but perhaps that you could sprinkle a little bit of throughout the year for fun, as a challenge. Whatever you'd like. That stretch word for Jessie one year was sparkle, and I know that it's now one of her words. And it was a stretch word for me one year as well in the past. To give you an example. So sprinkling the year with some sparkles. Sparkles that might look like joy, excitement, challenge. Word choices are unlimited for you. So inviting you to have fun with this exercise, get curious, play around with trying on words, what feels right, what feels a little scary or uncomfortable in terms of choosing words as intentions, and seeing what unfolds, giving yourself permission to live the intentions that you set up for yourself in unique, outside of the box, creative ways. Thank you so much for joining us for this unique episode of choosing our words for the year. Thank you for listening to what my words are going to be for the year. And we hope that by sharing our words, it inspires you to take up this practice of choosing some intention words for the upcoming new year. Sending well wishes for health, joy, and peace in the new year. Thanks so much for listening. And if you found this episode to be helpful, please share with other loved ones that might benefit. Please join Jessie and me for the Connected Nature Retreat Labor Day weekend 2025 at her home at Nicasio Creek Farm.
Thanks so much for joining us.
We encourage you to dive into the show notes for each episode for more learnings and resources.
We also invite you to take a listen to the many other Mindful Healers podcast episodes, and please share the podcast far and wide with colleagues, friends, and family.
If our message and approach resonate with you, we would love to work with you.
When you listen to a podcast, you consume information, but when you work with us, you can actually practice and change.
We offer coaching and mindfulness experiences, talks, workshops, retreats, and more. Connect with us at themindfulhealerspodcast.com.
The content of this podcast is not medical or life advice. We invite you to participate in the mindful moments we offer at the end of most of our podcasts, but please only do so safely.
Welcome to this mindful moment offering, inviting you to close eyes or lower your gaze a few inches in front of you. Begin by allowing the mind and the body to be here at the same time, leaving everything that came before at the door, giving yourself full permission to arrive in this moment, perhaps ready to receive and be open to that receiving. inviting you to think about some words that might resonate with you, that might be your intentions for the next year. Choosing one, having no weight on this word, meaning this might not be your final words for the year, and reminding you that there really are no rules to these choosing of words. Often in life, there are rules that we make up ourselves, and there actually aren't any rules around that. So, letting go of the potential rigidity around that and seeing how this particular word that you have basically arbitrarily chosen at my invitation feels. Is this a word that you want to infuse into your being, that you want to embody at least a little bit for this upcoming next year? And it might be something very different from the way that you're used to or the way that you are. But yeah, just being playful and curious and trying it on for size, seeing if it's a right fit. And even if it's not quite the right fit, is that discomfort something that you welcome as potentially a challenge or a growth area? And then also inviting you to notice if it is more of the same. Like, is it too comfortable for you? If it's too comfortable and it's well known and very familiar, then I invite you to choose a different word, something that is a bit more aspirational, perhaps, with a little bit more edge or a little bit of not necessarily fear, but just a tiny bit of discomfort in setting that particular word as an intention. And then getting curious about why there could be a little bit of an edge or fear or challenge associated with it. And seeing if that's something that you want to go for this upcoming year. And perhaps this practice is something that you journal about and you can really invoke the action of writing words down that might be your intentions for the year and going through this practice with each one and taking some time, giving yourself some space to figure this out for yourself. As perhaps an exercise to set yourself up for ease, success, joy in the upcoming year. So hopefully you have gotten a little bit closer into what you might be looking for setting words as intentions, maybe even choosing a word already. And as you're ready, if your eyes were closed, blinking them open, letting the light back in. And thank you so much for being open to that exercise with me. All the best for picking words that resonate with you for the upcoming year.